Yes, flyweight.
Yes, women's flyweight division. Tracy Cortez takes home the W, defeating Jasmine. They were saying their name different again. Jasudavicius. God damn it.
Jasudavicius, I think.
Jasudavicius. I don't know.
Or Jasudavicius. Jasudavicius.
It's a tough one, man. Mark, just start talking.
Dude, Tracy Cortez looked so improved. We were talking about Lupi's hands improving.
Yes.
How about Tracy Cortez's fucking hands? She was so much faster, which I expected. I thought it would be a key, and it was. But I never expected that level of crispiness from the hands. I mean, she was piecing Jasmine up in round one. But it's not huge power from Tracy, and because of that, as much as she was getting touched, Jasmine wasn't afraid to keep walking forward, and it did pay off in round two. She kind of swung it back toward her. Then she was able to get the takedown, change the fight with that. I'm not sure if she won round two, but it was certainly her best round. But then it didn't matter because she did lose round three. They scored it right. Tracy certainly won 1 and 3.
Yeah,
and it was a scrap for sure. Jasmine didn't go away. She was in it, but Tracy outstruck her in round 3, and she did what she had to do to make sure the decision went her way. It was a really nice return to the octagon for her after being out for a long time, and she's another one now who'll probably get a pretty interesting opponent here.
Watching live, I thought the fight was pretty competitive and pretty close, and I was a little surprised to see 30-27 on 2 scorecards, but I do think overall the UD for Cortez was the right way to go. Omar, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought she looked great. First of all, I gotta always shout her out for walking out to Salinas, because that's real right there. I love that one. Gonna make me go watch that movie, man. Anyway, Tracy Cortez got a lot of love from that Mexican crowd too. I don't know if you guys were paying attention to that moment, but there wasn't really anybody in the stands. Like, it was the prelims.
Yep.
Stands are pretty empty in the U.S. It's not a lot of these other countries. They're there from minute one, but in the U.S., for the most part, you see people trickle in little by little as the fights progress.
Right.
And that stadium was relatively empty when Tracy Cortez walked out. And if you had your eyes closed, you would not have been able to tell the difference, because
that's right.
They were shouting for her. They were cheering for her. I thought it was a real miss for her to not have been on the main card. I'm not really sure where the decision making was there. But if she's not on the main card in her next fight, I think that's a real missed opportunity. Just as an aside.
I agree. I thought it was strange that she wasn't on the main card. I didn't really get that.
Yeah. As far as her hands are concerned, man, her hands were looking absolutely great. She was landing those right hands on point. If there was any kind of criticism I would have in her striking, it would just be to keep her hands up. For every punch that she was landing on Jasudavicius, the left side of her face was swollen by the time that fight was over, because Tracy got hit tons of time in the same spot, and it was just because her hands weren't up. They were just kind of off to the side here. They weren't coming up to defend herself. She was just allowing her left side to get hit and just leave it open. So I think there's things to work on in the striking department, obviously, but man, she looked absolutely fantastic for such a long layoff, a game opponent, and obviously a big spot for her from a crowd perspective, right? Like, she didn't return to the apex, is my point, right? It wasn't a quiet apex where she can come and just chill and it's just another fight. People were there. The pressure was there. People were watching her. People were rooting her on. I think this was a big deal for Tracy Cortez, and I'm glad she walked away with the victory.
Yeah, I hope the promotion kind of takes note to the fact, just as you said, like, even on the prelims when the T-Mobile was not at capacity yet, the crowd that was there was going apeshit for Tracy Cortez, and the girl is a star.
Yeah,
I mean, she improves now to 11-1. She hasn't lost a fight since her pro debut. So after losing her pro debut, she's now on an 11-fight win streak. She's now undefeated in the UFC. She's 5-0 in the UFC. She just, like you said, she beat a very talented opponent in Jasmine, whose last name I'm not going to butcher again to pay respects to her. I think it's fueled in part by Tracy Cortez's beauty, which is immense. She might be she's like the Latina Paige Van Zandt, but I think she's even more attractive than Paige Van Zandt. She's gorgeous.
But I think she's also a better fighter than Paige Van Zandt, personally.
That's the second part of the point, is that, like, she and the record shows it too. I mean, she's 11-1 and now she's undefeated in the UFC thus far, and she's talent, beauty, she's like a total package, and it shows, and she's a star. And I think that the UFC is going to take note of the reaction that she got, the pop that she got from the crowd, and she should be a main card fighter going forward. That being said, as I said, 5-0 now in the UFC. Mark, give me her next possible opponent.
Yeah, I think it's time for her to fight a name. I get her, she had been out for a minute. I think Jasmine made perfect sense, but I think off of that win, she should be fighting a name. So I'm going to say the winner of the upcoming fight between Jennifer Maia and Viviane Araújo. It could even be the loser of that fight, theoretically, but, both of those girls are a name in the division, and that's where Tracy's got to be at this point.
Omar,
your mic's
that was
off.
actually, that was actually what I had as well. I think it's really going to depend on how that fight ends, how that fight finishes, right? Because if somebody's injured or somebody can't kind of make a relatively good turnaround, then it might just end up going to one or the other just based on availability. But I do think that is the direction she needs to go, and that's the fight that it should work off of.
Okay.